Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
I have a backup channel I call The Vault, and I often put stories up there, just videos I shoot where I tell stories or talk about things that are a little off topic for this channel. And I got to tell you right now that I was torn about whether I should do this story on this channel or on the Vault channel. I decided to do it here because it's just such a bizarre thing. My last 24 hours from right now backwards, have been the craziest, weirdest series of events that I've encountered in a long, long time. And so it all started yesterday with me going to the Gary Newman Ministry concert in Royal Oak. And so the show doors are at 6 o'clock. The first band, Frontline Assembly, goes on at 7. Gary goes on at 8. Ministry goes on at 9, if all goes according to plan. I'm walking out to my car about 4:30, and something catches my eye with the way the light is hitting the window of my garage. And I look, and there are what appear to be paw prints on the inside of a window of mine that is 7 or 8 feet off the ground. But there is a rack, a shelving rack right there that I put stuff on. And so my first thought is there's a cat had gotten into my garage and had climbed up there and was pawing at the window. And I thought, that's kind of strange because I keep my garage doors closed religiously. But occasionally, for instance, I'll, walk through the garage like I was doing yesterday. Or I took the garbage out yesterday also. And I thought maybe when I took the garbage out, I put the door up, I walked all the way out, put my garbage down, came back. Maybe a cat came in then, because there are a couple stray cats in the neighborhood. And I see them around from time to time. So maybe a cat got in here. So I'm looking around, and I'm like, well, if the cat got in here, it's not here anymore. So I close the door and go to the show. So just put that aside, the back of your memory banks there for a second. Royal Oak Music Theater, go inside, the place is packed, the show is sold out. I like Gary Newman. Most Americans only know him for Cars, but he was huge in England, and he's actually got a bunch of really cool stuff. He's put out more modern stuff that's much heavier and more industrial than his earlier stuff. But he always puts on a great show, and I've seen him a few times. So, of course, the first band comes out, Frontline Assembly. I don't know anything about them. Very, very industrial, very, very heavy. Some of the loudest music I've ever heard. And I've been to some loud concerts. And everything's going fine, except as the show is progressing, more and more people are coming down. It's general admission standing room. And so I'm 10 feet from the stage. And there's only 2 or 3 people in front of me, but everybody's kind of getting pushed in. So Frontline Assembly is done. They walk off the stage. They rear the stage. About 8 o'clock, the lights go down. Cheers go up. Gary Newman comes out with his band. And they start doing their show. And things are going swimmingly well. But I've noticed now that it's getting more and more cramped to the point like where I've got my elbows in, I got my hands in, and every now and then somebody bumps from one side or the other. But hey, I'm a people person. I don't mind. So I'm looking this way because I'm a little bit off to the left of the stage from our vantage point. I'm looking at the stage here and I'm watching the show, and all of a sudden I feel somebody bump me or elbow me. And I go, okay, cool. So I kind of draw on a little bit, and the person is bumping me and elbowing me more. So I turn to see what's happening, and a guy next to me just collapses like a bag of dirt, just boom, on the ground. So the band is loud. Whatever the top level of loud is that humans can endure, that's how loud the band is. So this guy collapses. I actually managed to reach down and put my hands behind his back and kind of keep him from slamming his head on the ground. I thought he's having an epileptic seizure or some kind of seizure. That's because of the elbow motion and stuff. The guy's flat on his back on the ground, but his eyes are open. So I lean in as close as I can. I go, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "Yes." I go, "What's wrong?" And he goes, "My hip gave out. My hip gave out." And I go, "Okay, what do we need to do?" He goes, "Just stand me back up, I'll be fine." I go, "Are you sure?" And he goes, "Yes." I said, okay, so me and a couple people around him helped him back up to his feet. And he goes, "Guys, I'm fine. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm fine." I turn to watch the show, and all of a sudden, boom, he goes down again. And I lean over, and I go, "Are you okay?" And at that point, some other people lean over. And meanwhile, somebody starts screaming, "Call 911. But luckily, no one could hear them scream because of how loud the band was. And so the guy was conscious, and he kept insisting it was just his hip, that his hip had given out. And it turns out I assumed he was with the people on the other side of him. They assumed that I was. Everybody's going, who's with this guy? It turns out he's by himself. So luckily, we're so close to the front of the stage that one of the people between the last barrier and the stage itself, staff, leans forward and says, what's going on? And we go, this guy's having problems. He's in distress of some sort. Guy climbs over. They call over another guy. They pick him up and they carry him out, and he's taken care of. He's taken care of. And so watch the rest of the show. The show is fabulous. I couldn't be happier with the show. Get in my car. I'm driving home, and I'm thinking to myself, I wonder if that cat could have still been in the garage while I was at that show. Because I looked around. I didn't see the cat anymore, but cats can be skittish and can hide, So I come back, and I open up the garage door, and I walk in, and there are paw prints all over the seat of an ATV I've got. And I'm pretty certain they were not there before. But I didn't check. So I'm not sure if I could have missed that or not. Could I have missed that? So I got a flashlight. I got a wooden pole. I start looking underneath the cars. I start looking underneath the lawnmower. I start looking underneath the stairs. I look everywhere. I can't see anything or find anything. But I do find claw marks on the covers to my cars. I got two of my cars in the garage. They're covered. And the covers are all clawed up. And I'm like, okay, there's a cat in here that's been clawing the stuff up. But now the cat's gone, so I can't find the cat. So I'm fine. So I go to bed last night. It's about 10 or 11 o'clock at night because of the long drive to the show and the drive back and poking around the garage looking for a cat. And I go to bed. And about 4 o'clock this morning, I think to myself, you know something, Steve, you're awake. You should go check the garage. Because the last thing I did before I went to bed is I wiped that seat clean. So if there's still a cat in the garage, good chance there's going to be footprints on that seat. I go out at 4 o'clock in the morning, look, and there's footprints all over that seat. Whatever it is still in the garage. And so I'm like, now, I did not get a good night's sleep. I slept from about 11 till 4. I'm still operating on limited sleep. And so I'm like, what on earth could this be? And all of a sudden I hear a noise. I hear a noise coming from my tractor. I've got a riding lawn tractor. So I go over, and I got a flashlight, and I also have it's just a piece of wood about this long with a handle on it that you can poke at things with. Comes in handy sometimes. And I go over, and I start tapping on the tractor. And I'm looking, going, where could a cat hide inside this tractor? Because there's not a lot of room, but I mean, there's a mowing deck, for instance. There's an engine compartment. I pop the engine compartment open, there's nothing in there. And I walk around the front, I start just tapping on things. And all of a sudden, zoom! It's a woodchuck. Small woodchuck. Immature woodchuck, not a baby woodchuck, but a small woodchuck. And he zooms over and he runs underneath my Viper. Now, my Viper is so low to the ground that I can barely get under there and look to see what's underneath there. But I do, and I've got a flashlight, and I'm showing there's nothing underneath there. So he's climbing up into the wheel wells of my car. So I got to pull the cover off, and I go around and I start tapping on the tires, but the car's really, really close up against the wall. And every now and then I can hear him move or shift or something like that. And it's driving me crazy. So I've got the lights on in the garage. Door's open so he can run out if he sees there's an open door. Woodchucks aren't the smartest animals. And at one point in time, I'm tapping on that side of the Viper, and I hear him skittering away, and he skitters underneath my Cobra. He admires fine automobiles. And the Cobra had a cover on it. So I'm looking underneath it. There's nothing underneath it. He's up in the wheel well of one of the wheel wells. Sure enough, I pull up the cover, and I see the fur sticking from under. There's a wheel well and a wheel. A little strip like this. I can barely fit my hand in there. His fur is sticking out. I actually poked him with my hand, and he jumped down and ran back underneath the Viper. And I'm like, okay, dude, this is not going to go well. Now it's like 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's pissing me off. I got to get some sleep. And I don't want this animal in my garage because I had a woodchuck get in my garage years ago and chew up a bunch of wiring. And that's another story altogether. So I pull the cover off the Viper. I get the keys to the Viper, and I fire it up. Nothing. I thought that would scare him out of the garage. So I pull the Viper out, drive it all the way to the end of my driveway, turn around, come back, park it, but outside the garage. Go back in the garage. I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I hear skitter, skitter, skitter. He's over in the far corner. So me firing the Viper up scared him, but instead of running out of the garage, he ran deeper into the corner of the garage. And so I'm over there looking for him. And I still to this day don't know where he was hiding near the tractor. But apparently he can squish down really, really far. But he was hiding over there somewhere near the tractor. So I'm like, okay, this is bugging the heck out of me. I went and got a whistle that makes really, really loud noises, really, really loud, obnoxious, like Coast Guard whistle. And I was using that. My neighbors are far enough away that it wouldn't upset them. And nothing. And he goes completely quiet again. And so at one point in time, I took the cover off the Cobra also to make sure he wasn't in there. I'm looking in the wheel wells. He's not in there. I'm climbing underneath the car, pop the hood, make sure he didn't climb up inside the engine compartment. He's not there. I'm over there banging on the tractor. He's not there. And I'm like, where is he? He's hunkered down someplace because I don't think he could have gotten out of the garage without me seeing him. And I look at my stairs that go up into my kitchen, and I realize that the stairs, there's a space underneath them. And I've got some junk jammed in there, but I hadn't poked around underneath there in the last few minutes. So I walked over there and I pulled all the stuff away from one side and I started poking in there with that stick I've got. And out he ran and he looked and he saw the door. Freedom! And he ran off into the darkness and around the corner. And I didn't want him running any place near my house, so I chased him. About 6:30 this morning, there I am chasing a woodchuck across my front lawn with that wooden stick in my hand, yelling things at him about how he should not return to my garage. He should go live someplace else underground with the other underground dwelling rodents of this world. But I then walked back in, put the Viper back in the garage, closed the garage door, and went back in and fell asleep for 3 more hours. Now, believe it or not, I've got to check to make sure it didn't damage either car because rodents do chew on wiring. I've had woodchucks chew on wiring in a house I lived in before, and I got 2 old cars that were out there for 24 hours maybe with this woodchuck in the garage, almost 24 hours. And maybe he climbed in the engine compartment and chewed on a wiring harness. And that may have been an expensive meal that I get to pay for. So the evening started, like I said, walking by and just seeing those weird paw prints on the window. That woodchuck jumped on the ATV, jumped up onto the shelving unit, climbed up onto the shelf where he knocked the windowsill, knocked things off the windowsill, put his muddy paws all over the window, and then was running around inside my garage. And then the times during the day where I had the garage door open or closed, he hunkered down and hid. And it wasn't until I spent a couple hours literally poking around everywhere. At one point in time, I had a broom, a push shop broom. I put the handle underneath the car and I'm swinging it back and forth down there just in case he's down there, but also making noise. So right now, I will admit, there's a traumatized woodchuck out there right now. But he's lucky to be alive. I really don't wish him any ill will. I just wish I'd gotten a better night's sleep. But remember, I saw the show. I encountered a man in distress who insisted it was his hip. I'm starting to wonder about that myself. And then came back and found out that there'd been a woodchuck in my garage all day. And he was there all night. And then I was up at 4 o'clock this morning hunting him down. And like I said, I witnessed him leave the garage. And the last I saw of him, he was about 100 and 150 yards away from my house, heading away very, very quickly because so was I. He was a little faster than me. So that's my crazy day I had yesterday into today, which might explain how the video I just shot before this one, I probably look really, really tired in it, the way I do right now. But we'll see how that goes. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Sunsets are proof that endings can be beautiful too.